Tonight's invocation is being offered by Council Member Jason Potts.
Let's pray. Father, thank you for allowing us to gather here this evening for your many blessings, family, and friends. As we make a decision on this evening's agenda and those in the future, Father, give us the wisdom and guide us to do what is pleasing to you and the best interest of those who live, work, and play in our beloved city. It is to you that I give the glory and praise. In your name I pray. Amen. United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Without objection, we'll suspend the calling of the roll and ask the clerk to record the names of the members present throughout the meeting. Is there a motion for the adoption of the minutes of our June 4th meeting? We have a motion and a second. Without objection, the minutes will stand approved as written. Madam Clerk, are there any messages from the mayor?
There are no messages from the mayor.
Thank you. First on the agenda is RS 2013-710. We are going to be moving that one to the hill of the agenda. We will be considering it last.
She's going to make a copy of the committee report for the amendments for Councilman Atkins.
Okay. But we can go on with these. Okay. Next on the agenda is BL 2013-454, approves the enrollment of the Metro Police Department in the Carfax Investigative Data Sharing Program for access to motor vehicle accident reports in their jurisdiction. Councilmember Bennett.
Move approval, please.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-455 authorizes Metro government to enter into a participation agreement with Meharry Medical College regarding construction of a water main and stormwater improvements located at D.B. Todd Boulevard on Marina Street, as well as other existing properties in the area. Councilmember Langster.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. With all committee reports in, I move for approval, please.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-456 authorizes Metro Water Services to acquire easements for the Due West Stormwater Improvement Project for properties located along Berry Drive, Berkeley Drive, Brinkhaven Avenue, Cora Lane Drive, Due West Avenue, and East Palestine Avenue. Councilmember Davis.
Committee is in. I'd like to move approval, please.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-457 authorizes Metro Water Services to acquire easements for the Dodson Chapel Sewer Improvement Project for properties located at 3590 Hermitage Drive, 5289 Old Hickory Boulevard, Hermitage Industrial Drive unnumbered, and Dodson Chapel Drive unnumbered. Councilmember Stanley.
I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-458 authorizes Metro Water Services to acquire easements for the Retriever Court Stormwater Improvement Project for properties located at 5913 and 5917 Retriever Court, 907 Retriever Place, 5960 Nolensville Pike, and Hunters Branch Common Area. Councilmember Potts.
I'd like to move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-459 authorizes Metro Water Services to acquire easements for the Matthews Avenue Stormwater Improvement Project for properties located along Matthews Avenue, Curdwood Boulevard, and Virginia Avenue. Councilmember Bennett.
Move approval, please.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
Okay, I'm on vacation.
Motion passes. BL 2013-460 authorizes Metro Water Services to acquire easements for the Inglewood Circle Stormwater Improvement Project for properties located along McGavock Pike, Inglewood Circle South, and Inglewood Circle North. Councilmember Davis.
Move approval, please.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-461 authorizes Metro Water Services to acquire easements for the Norma Drive Stormwater Improvement Project for properties located at Norma Drive and Yelton Court. Councilmember Matthews.
I'd like to move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-462 authorizes Metro Water Services to acquire easements for the Terry Place Stormwater Improvement Project for properties located along Belinda Drive and Terry Place. Councilmember Matthews.
I'd like to move approval again.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-463 authorizes the acceptance of permanent easements for Springview Drive Stormwater Improvement Project for properties located at 419 Springview Drive and 412-414 Blue Hills Drive. Councilmember Claiborne.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. All the committee reports are in. I would move approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-464 authorizes the acquisition of easements for the Shawnee Road Stormwater Improvement Project for properties located at Sukes Terrace, Cheyenne Boulevard, and Shawnee Road. Councilmember Pridemore.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I move for approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-465 authorizes the acceptance of permanent easements for the Apple Tree Road Stormwater Improvements Projects for properties located at 200 Apple Tree Road and 105 Edgebrook Road. Councilmember Matthews.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I'd like to move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-466 authorizes the acceptance of permanent and temporary easements for the Stacy Square Court Stormwater Improvement Projects for properties located along Colt Road, New Sawyer Brown Road, and Sawyer Brown Road. Councilmember Weiner.
All committee reports in. I move for approval, please.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Next is BL 2013-467, adopts the capital improvements budget and program for the 2013 and 2013-2014 through 2018-2019. Councilmember Matthews.
There are several amendments to offer.
Could I have your committee report?
Committee report, Budget and Finance approved as amended, 13-4-0 against.
Councilmember Claiborne.
Planning and Zoning voted to approve as amended, 11-4-0 against.
Okay, I'm going to tell you which of the amendments were approved unanimously.
They're in order in their packet, the order of their packet.
It's in the order that's in your packet. And if without objection, we can take all of these together. Amendments 1 through 3 were unanimous. Amendments 6 through 21. Amendments 23 through 30. Are there any of these that need to be pulled? Is there a motion for approval of these amendments?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Next, we will go to Amendment 4. Improvements to the Tennessee State Fairground. Councilmember Matthews.
Budget and Finance approved this amendment 9-4, 1 against, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
9-4, 1 against.
Councilmember Claiborne.
Planning Zoning approved 10-4, against.
Councilmember Tenpenny.
I'd move approval for the amendment.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. No. Do we need a machine vote? Okay. Next, we will go to Amendment 5. Reduces the amount of the MOB Code's one-stop shop. Councilmember Matthews.
Budget and Finance recommends disapproval, we voted to disapprove, 0-4, 12 against.
The motion to approve failed by 0, 4, and 12 against. Councilmember Claiborne.
Planning and Zoning voted 9 to disapprove and 2 abstentions.
Councilmember Tenpenny.
Boy, I had a lot of people vote for me on that one, didn't I? Hey, I move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. No. The amendment fails. We will next go to Amendment 22. Deletes the Westmead Elementary addition. Councilmember Matthews.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 9-4, 3 against, and 1 abstaining.
Councilmember Claiborne.
Planning and Zoning voted 10 for approval, 1 abstention.
Councilmember Evans.
And I would like to move the amendment.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Councilmember Berry.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I know that when we were doing the budget conversation, we didn't have Chris Henson here, and a lot of us did not have the letter from Jesse Register on our desks at that time. So I know that this has kind of been a little chaotic, but if it would be appropriate for Mr. Henson to just approach and say a couple of words about this, I think it would be appropriate.
That will require a suspension of our rules. Is there any objection? We have an objection. We have 2 objections. So. If you want to make a motion to try to get 2/3 vote so the council...
No, I think that everybody should just go ahead and read the letter. That'd be great. Thanks.
Everyone has the letter on your desk. Hopefully you've read it. We have a motion and a second for approval of Amendment 22. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
No.
We will need a machine vote. Pardon? It's rebooting, so just wait 1 minute.
Yeah, I barely need to just go ahead and put it in motion. Is 5 gonna be going all month?
I don't know, man.
Did at least pull the plug? Difficulties today.
But that's the last amendment.
Well, except for the amendments to the spending plan.
No, I mean on this.
Yes.
After this, we vote on this.
I know. God, let them all amend. The last would be this one right here, 28. Did I leave that one off? Okay, well, I'll pull that one too. Sorry.
Okay.
Somebody please explain the amendment again, please.
Councilmember
What it
Evans,
means.
do you wish to explain your amendment? You may have to speak loudly for a
The
second.
amendment is just designed to enhance some community dialogue around this addition. It's not meant to delete the project permanently. We just have to have more discussion within the community about the project.
No, so
Councilman Tenpenny.
So if we're voting yes, we are voting not to fund this, correct?
You're deleting it.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Maynard.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. The effect is to take the money out of the capital improvement budget. So in effect, it does terminate this project. Now, Councilman Stein stated that the school system could bring it back next year. However, Dr. Register has sent a letter stating he desires that it stay in this current budget, and I support that.
Any other discussion?
We have to do some written ballots,
We are going to be using
or
written,
we can do by hand, whichever you prefer.
okay, definitely.
So what will need to happen is, we'll actually just need to go point by person and get them to.
As I call your name, please announce how you're voting, either yes for the amendment to delete it, or no on the amendment to keep it in. Councilmember Berry. No. Councilmember Stein. No. Councilmember Garrett. Councilmember Tigert. No. Councilmember Maynard. No. Councilmember Matthews. Councilmember Harrison. Councilmember Hunt. Councilmember Banks. Councilmember Davis. Councilmember Westerholm. Councilmember Davis. Councilmember Bennett. Councilmember Pridemore. Sorry. My P's. You.
You.
Councilmember Sides.
Yes.
Councilmember Stanley.
Yes.
Councilmember Claiborne.
Yes.
Councilmember Tenpenny.
Yes.
Councilmember Moore.
No.
Please, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Langster. Councilmember Weiner. Councilmember Evans. Councilmember Holloman.
Yes.
Councilmember McGuire.
No.
Councilmember Harmon.
No.
Councilmember Blaylock.
Yes.
Councilmember Dominy.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson. Councilmember Potts. Okay. Go ahead.
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
Okay, I think that got everyone. Madam Clerk, will you
19 for, and 17 against.
I'm glad I did that because I was going to vote no.
You think? It fails 17-4, 18 against.
The amendment fails 17-4, 18 against. We will move on to Amendment 28. Deletes Bus Rapid Transit, West End Connector, Final Design, Construction, and Streetscape. Deletes Bus Rapid Transit, Buses, East-West Corridor. Councilmember Matthews. We have no mics. Thank you, Councilman Maynard.
Motion to approve failed 1-4-12.
Thank you, Councilmember Claiborne.
Before I give my committee report, I have a question. I was going to ask it, but we were pushing the clock in the committee meeting. Anybody in the chamber can explain what AMP means and how we came up with that acronym?
It's not an acronym.
Amplify? I've never read that in any print media, and I've asked members of the administration as well as members of this council, and nobody has been able to give me an answer to that.
And do you have a motion, a report?
Planning zoning voted 11 against removing the funds, 0 for.
Thank you. Councilmember Duvall? There's no mic. We have a motion and a second. That little Councilmember Maynard?
Vice Mayor, you have the authority to establish a committee.
It may work.
You have the authority to establish a committee to look in how the AMP was, whether the AMP and what it stands for. If you would like to establish that committee.
I think we have a committee to address that. I think we already have a transportation committee that can address that issue. Any other discussion?
I ask a legitimate question, and I take offense at being made fun of over asking a legitimate question. Thank you.
I did not mean to offend you.
I don't think offense was meant. Councilmember Stanley.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd just like to state that I stand in support of this amendment at this time. Let's remember that this is a multi-million-dollar project in downtown Nashville core. But metropolitan government that we represents the entire 526 square mile Davidson County. So it will be a lot of capital projects that are needed in the suburban Davidson County community that have to pay the expense for this one project. In addition, I have some issues that have been brought to my attention by residents that live along this west corridor, along this BRT, this proposed BRT. One of the things is that the lack of road system that this West End Avenue has will allow commuters that do not take the bus, it will allow them to cut through these residential arteries. These are narrow streets that were built by developers when they built these subdivisions to accommodate the traffic alone from these subdivisions. They were not built as collector streets. They were not built as connector streets. They are built only as residential arteries. I have an obligation to these tax-paying citizens to make sure that they are listened to and heard by this Metro Council. One of the last things I want to say is that I have been kept in the dark about this AMP or this AMP BRT. I have heard that it's been considered for about 3 years, approximately 3 years. But I, along with a number of other council members, have been kept in the dark, have been completely ignorant of this project. This Metro Council represents one specific branch of the metropolitan government, the legislative branch. We have an obligation to be considered, and I would like to see on this corridor steering committee, I'd like to see a representative from the Metro Council, at least one representative on that steering committee. But there was only local business representatives, transit advocates, and also representatives from the mayor's office. But there was no one from Metro Council. I find that difficult to support this project. I think it's time that we take a look at the entire Davidson County area. I stand in support of this amendment because this amendment will remove a substantial amount of money that is going to be allocated for a project that will benefit the downtown core. But it's all of the suburban communities in Davidson County that are going to be forced to expend money to have this done. So with that, I will say I will support this amendment. Thank you.
Councilmember Duvall.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'm going to stand up here and preach for 3 minutes and 57 seconds, maybe. The BRT AMP, I thoroughly oppose. I'm not opposing BRT Light. It's BRT Amp. You need to understand the difference in the two. What you're proposing on doing is closing at least 2 lanes of West End Avenue and having 1 lane of traffic going out of town and 1 lane of traffic going in town. If you want to understand the impact of that, we can find that out without spending a dime. Well, we'll spend some money, but we can make a lot of Nashvillians mad because we can close those lanes of traffic and let that 45 to 50,000 cars that drive it every day find out what it's going to be like in the future when we open up a BRT amp. There's no dedicated funding stream set up for this. We're going to do the final engineering, and it's going to be the same as many of our other projects. Well, we can't stop it now. We've already spent $7, $8, $10 million or $20 million of golly, we bought the land. Why wouldn't we build the building? West End Corridor, why is it picked? It's the 6th busiest traffic lane we have, not the 1st busiest, the 6th busiest. It's been picked because the land use policy is being changed so that we have the number of people that we need, and that's all that government looks at, the federal government, is what is going to be there, not what is there today. Now, you're doing this for 4,500, and I consider that a high estimate of people going up and down West End Avenue every day, and we're going to displace somewhere between 40 and 50,000 travelers that travel in their automobiles. It's a bad plan. We're going to close businesses. What happens to, let's just take one from the Interstate 2465, Lee Beeman. He has that whole block all the way to the West End Broadway split. What happens there when people can't make a left-hand turn to get into his business? He's going to go out of business. Many of the restaurants up and down through there, many of the small shops, one of them that I actually like to go to, Bike Peddler, they have no parking, and now they're going to have even less. This is just unbelievable. And then what we're doing, in my opinion, and this is strictly opinion, is that the hospitality industry with the convention center we've built have decided they're going to move their guests on this BRT/AMP and transfer the cost from the hotels to the taxpayers of Nashville. Now, that's maybe an ugly thing to say, but that's my opinion, and that's what I believe. So with that, I'm going to renew my motion to please approve this amendment. Thank you.
Councilmember Garrett.
I would respectfully call the question, ma'am.
We have a motion and a second for previous question. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Previous question passes. We're doing a machine vote. And I have been told that it works.
No, it doesn't.
It does not work. Okay. Councilmember Berry?
No.
Councilmember Stein?
No.
Councilmember Garrett?
No.
Councilmember Tigert?
Yes.
Councilmember Maynard?
No.
Councilmember Matthews?
No.
Councilmember Harrison? Pardon? No. Councilmember Hunt?
No.
Councilmember Banks?
No.
Councilmember Davis?
No.
Councilmember Westerholm?
No.
Councilmember Davis?
No.
Councilmember Bennett?
No.
Councilmember Pridemore?
No.
Councilmember Perdue? Thank you, sir. Councilmember Glover?
No.
Councilmember Stites? Yes. Councilmember Stanley?
Yes.
Councilmember Claiborne?
No.
Councilmember Tenpenny?
No information. I have to vote yes.
Councilmember Moore?
No.
Councilmember Allen?
No.
Councilmember Langster?
No.
Councilmember Weiner?
No.
Councilmember Evans?
No.
Councilmember Holloman?
No.
Councilmember McGuire?
No.
Councilmember Harmon?
No.
Councilmember Blaylock?
No.
Councilmember Dominy?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
No.
Councilmember Potts? Councilmember Duvall?
Yes.
Councilmember Todd?
No.
The amendment fails. We had a vote of 6 for, 28 against. We're now back on the bill as amended. Councilmember Matthews.
I'd like to move for approval on the bill as amended.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor of 467 as amended, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion. We need a machine vote, sorry. We don't have a machine, so we will need to do the roll call vote again. I will need another form. There's more on the back. Okay. Councilmember Berry.
Yes.
We are on the capital improvements budget as amended.
Yes.
Councilman Stein.
Yes.
Councilman Garrett.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Tygart.
Yes.
Councilman Maynard.
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes.
Banks.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Westerholm.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Bennett.
Yes.
Pridemore.
Yes.
Purdue.
Yes, ma'am.
Glover.
Yes.
Stites.
Yes, ma'am.
Stanley.
Yes.
Claiborne.
Yes.
Tenpenny.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Langster.
Yes.
Weiner.
Yes.
Evans.
Yes.
Holloman.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
Harmon. Blaylock. Dominy. Johnson.
Yes.
Potts. Duvall. Todd. Okay. One against and.
What does that say about? 33 for, 1 against.
33 for, 1 against. The bill as amended passes. We're going back to the first item on our agenda that we moved to the Hill, RS 2013-710, determines to issue up to $300,000 in general obligation bonds to provide funding for various projects in the mayor's 2013-2014 spending plan. Councilmember Matthews.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 13-4-0 against. We did not consider the amendments, Madam Vice Mayor.
Okay, and we have two. Okay. Which one?
First, it's Stites.
Okay. Okay. The first amendment we have to this is proposed by Councilmember Stites. Mr. Cooper, would you explain it?
This amendment would add language to the initial bond resolution regarding the East-West Connector BRT, and it would add language stating that funds would be for the design and engineering phase of the Bus Rapid Transit East-West Connector project, which is to include a countywide feasibility study of the use of alternate routes such as Charlotte Pike, Hillsborough Pike, Nolensville Pike, Gallatin Pike, and Murfreesboro Pike.
Councilman Stites?
Thank you. I move it with a brief explanation.
We have a motion and a second. Councilman?
I think whether you support the AMP or oppose it, and there are a lot of people passionate on both sides of it, I think everybody can agree that this is going to be, transit is going to be Nashville's next big purchase. It's going to be our next big expenditure. And so if that's the case, all this does is ask that, that we spend some time looking at alternate routes, considering maybe West End is the best alternative, but maybe it's Gallatin where we have more ridership. Maybe it's Murfreesboro where we have more ridership. And we have some of the best transportation folks in the country who work at MTA, no doubt about that, but as they will tell you, they are transportation people. So maybe we could take a more holistic approach and look at not only transportation and potential ridership, but also look at economic development, look at safety concerns as were raised during the committee, and a whole host, kind of take a holistic approach to what our city's next big capital investment will be. This is not pro-AMP, it's not con-AMP at all. I just thought this would be a good idea, and never dreamed that it would generate the excitement that it has. So.
Thank you. Councilmember Westerholm.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I just wanted to speak briefly on this amendment. I don't disagree with the sentiment that Councilman Stites expressed. I do agree with him that transportation and the discussion of transportation is a conversation that we've begun. As was noted earlier, the current process that we're discussing right now began 3, 4, 5 years ago in some crowds, and the discussions we're going to have about the future of transit throughout the county and throughout the region will extend beyond all of our services on the council. This will be happening for decades to come. And while there are many needs in many parts of both the city and of the region, what has been proposed right now in the AMP, the 7.1, 7.2 mile stretch along West End through downtown over into East Nashville represents the best place to start. This is an area that it does have lots of housing. A lot of residents do reside in this area who use transit. You already have active transit users in this area. You have the places of work. You have the places of recreation, of entertainment. All of the metrics that experts use to determine where transit projects should take place, every expert looked at this and said, this is the best place to start. This is the place that's going to be a meaningful place to begin and can serve as the backbone of future transit projects to come. In my mind, this is the best place to start. As far as other places, we went through the process of looking at alternative analysis. Other routes from Church to Charlotte to 21st and throughout that whole area of Midtown, of downtown, were examined thoroughly for looking at both the cost of implementation and design, where you had the right-of-way purchases, and every one of those studies came back and said West End through Midtown, through downtown, and over into East Nashville made the best sense. This is what was economically feasible, and we understand that economics is a big driving point. Many folks came last week and spoke about the impact of the BRT line in Cleveland, and the fact that it had a $200 million investment had led to over $4.3 million in investment along that corridor. I remember going with a number of folks, some of which are in this room, some of which are in the audience, to Portland and Eugene last year, and we saw firsthand what BRT can be. As I travel around the United States and to other cities, I always look and see what makes sense. How did people get around? What transit systems work best for those places? And as was pointed out last week, of all the different BRT systems across the country and across the world, I've not seen one of them that has not been a success, that has not done what it was supposed to do and had a positive impact. I believe that this is the right place to move forward. I believe this is the right time to move forward. And I ask for all your support in moving forward with the project as proposed.
Thank you. Councilmember Maynard.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. What impact will this amendment have? Is this a condition precedent to the releasing of bonds that you have to do a county-wide study? First question. Second question, if it is a condition precedent, the studies that have already been done by MTA and other groups, will that qualify then to satisfy the requirement to satisfy the purpose of this amendment, that maybe Councilman Stites would then withdraw this amendment if studies that have already been completed satisfy his concerns?
I wouldn't define it as a condition precedent. This is the initial bond resolution, which makes projects eligible to go ahead and start using the commercial paper program. The initial bond resolution is very general in its description. It does not include any specific projects. Prior to the amendment, the language regarding MTA said vehicles, equipment, facilities, and other capital improvements for the Metropolitan Transit Authority, including monies for a grant match. So what this does, that would stay in. This adds another clause that says, and for the design and engineering phase of the BRT, including an alternate route study. So it's not necessarily a condition precedent to the expenditure of any money, but it's included in the initial bond resolution as part of the project to be funded, if that makes any sense.
Okay, so if we pass it, what impact will this have on the?
Well, I mean, if MTA has already done such a study, that would satisfy that clause. I don't know, I mean, they would have to answer that, but if funds have already been spent for that study and they don't need to do that, then they could show that they've already satisfied that part of the project.
Based on the comments that I've heard from Mr. Pollard and others, that they have looked at other routes and determined that West End would be the best place to start, I think that you could then presume that then a study has been done of alternative routes. And I would ask if Councilman Stites would then consider withdrawing his amendment, given the comments that have been made both on record here, but also comments that have been made in reports, that when questions have been asked about Charlotte and Nolensville Pike, Mr. Pollard responded by, we did look at those, and we decided that West End was the best. I mean, Ballard. I'm thinking about Pollard, my next door neighbor. And if I offended anybody, please, I ask for your forgiveness.
Councilman Stites, do you wish to respond?
Sure. Thank you. And it's an excellent question. I would just say the amendment, if it asks for these reports that have already been done, and there are a lot of questions that people are asking about studies, these studies that have been done, and so if they have in fact already been done, it would be best to leave the amendment in, and then if the studies fulfill or meet the amendment, then it would move forward, and there'd be no harm, no foul.
Councilmember Holloman.
I don't have a button on.
It's listed.
I didn't have my button on, but since you called on me, actually, I will take just a second.
It said it was on.
Did it show it was on?
Somebody must have done that to you.
Somebody might have done that to me. It's entirely possible. I'm somewhat conflicted about this amendment, and since given the opportunity, I will just share what's on my heart. I've talked to Councilman Stites about this, and I very much appreciate where he's going with this, and I have shared his concern about the level of alternatives analysis that's been done, and whether or not, at what detail we've studied maybe the performance of Charlotte versus the performance of West End and other things. My one concern about the way this is drafted, though, that I will comment on, is that it's done as alternatives, and I do think what we need to do in this conversation going forward is think about how to do both, at what level we can provide additional service on West End and on Charlotte. As I mentioned earlier, we've had conversations in the last few days about the performance of BRT Light on Charlotte, and I think that's an important step. I do think there's economic development potential on Charlotte, and so with that, I'm pretty conflicted, but I do feel like the right thing to do is to move forward as it's drafted, with the understanding that, Councilman Stites, you've raised this discussion, I've raised this discussion, the administration has heard us, I think, and are delivering additional options in terms of what we can do going forward. So I think that message is being received, and so with that, I'm going to support the administration on this.
Thank you. Councilmember Hunt.
Madam President, call for the question, please.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor of previous question, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. All in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. I believe the amendment fails. We'll move on to the second amendment. Mr. Cooper, will you explain it?
The second amendment also to the spending plan resolution adds fairgrounds and fairgrounds facilities as one of the projects that can be funded under the $300 million bond resolution.
Councilmember Tenpenny?
Move that this amendment.
We have a motion for approval.
Second.
And a second. Councilmember, do you wish to say anything?
Yeah, and again, you know, talking about the fairgrounds property again.
I think your mic works.
Oh, okay. I've been so used to not using it today. You know, talk about the fairgrounds property again. This is something that I feel that needs to be approved. They've got emergencies down there with paving. They have emergencies down there with, you know, restoring their buildings back to where when you're walking through the buildings, you don't get rained on. You know, the roofs need repair, gutters need to be repaired, potholes, paving. You know, I could go on and on. You know, their air conditioning. I mean, it's pretty bad. So, you know, if this was any other property in Davidson County that Metro owned, I'd be saying the same thing for them also. But, I mean, you know, during the flood, we didn't even get our money from the flood. You know, we didn't even ask for the money. I can't understand why we continue to just beat this property down. And guys, I come to you and ask for you to approve this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Moore.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Again, I do not support this amendment, and I'm not understanding the rationale behind it as much as we did not get too much of a report from Buck about, you know, what improvements that he needed. So, again, I do not support this amendment at all, and if we could defeat it, we could. Thank you, Chair.
Seeing no one else wishing to speak, all in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Aye. Those in opposition to the amendment, please say no. No. I think we'll do a roll call. Oh, we can do a machine vote? We're going to try to do a machine vote. Need for everyone to vote. We have the machines working right now. Vote quick before they stop. Madam Clerk, will you close?
They've stopped working. Just went out. We need to do a roll call.
Okay. Barry. No. Stein.
No. Vice Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I ask a question for clarity. If this motion were to pass, is this binding that these funds would be spent, or is this just holding the door open for a possible expenditure?
The council can only authorize funding for projects. The council cannot actually obligate the administration to build anything or do any building project. Now, if the capital improvements budget was amended to add a fairgrounds project, this amends the spending plan resolution to make that project eligible for funding as part of the overall $300 million. Now, again, the council cannot obligate the administration to do it, but but this, I guess, is an expression of the council's will and intent.
Okay, I have a no for Barry, a no for Stein. Garrett? No. Tigert? Yes. Maynard? No. Excuse me. Matthews? No. Harrison? No. Hunt? No. Banks? No. Davis? No. Westerholm? No. Davis? No. Bennett? Yes. Pridemore? No. Purdue? Yes. Glover? No. Stites?
Yes.
Stanley?
Yes.
Claiborne?
Yes.
Tenpenny?
Yes.
Moore?
No.
Allen?
No.
Langster?
No.
Weiner?
No.
Evans?
Yes.
Holloman?
Yes.
McGuire?
No.
Harmon. Blaylock.
Yes.
Dominy.
Yes.
Johnson. Potts. Duvall.
Yes.
Todd.
Current vote.
It's a tie. It's tied right now.
Yes.
Okay.
14 yes, 21 no.
That's what I got. The amendment fails by a vote of 14 yes and 21 noes. We're now back to the original bill. Councilmember Matthews.
I'd like to move approval on the bill.
We have a motion and a second on the bill as amended. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move.